We all reserve the right to disagree. Disagreement comes in all shapes and sizes. They may be personal, domestic, institutional, local, international. So, what happens when two parties disagree? It certainly creates friction. And the severity of the friction determines the scale of the disagreement. So, what happens next? At the end of the day, you always need people who can analyze, measure, study, ascertain, and find solutions to resolve the matter. Call them peacekeepers, peace builders, policy analysts, human rights advocates, diplomats. Call them what you may. But at the end of the day, they share the same voice. They are on the very quest of discovering how peace can truly prevail and how they can explore together the path to global harmony. Today on The Avenue, we are shifting gears. We're not going to be talking about science and technology. We're going to be talking about another field, which is another extension of the social sciences. That's the peace and conflict studies. So today we have with us, it's a privilege to have with us, the Associate Dean of the Center for International Peace and Stability, Dr. Muhammad Makki. Dr. Makki, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
Khush Amdeed.
Thank you.
I'm going to dive straight in. Have you ever wondered that how social sciences is being treated here in Pakistan? I mean, are there any gaps around? The emphasis on social sciences has been on the very down low. What do you think, needs to be done in that specific discipline?
Thank you very much. And I think it's a very important question. Center for International Peace and Stability, where we engage with different disciplines and degree programs related to peace and conflict studies, strategic studies, international relations, and of course training the peacekeepers for different UN peacekeeping deployments. So all these engagements within the practical domain or in the intellectual domain, they all belongs to the broader social sciences disciplinary domain. So as a background, pas manzar ke taur pe, this is very true that social sciences as a discipline so far here in Pakistan and also in the subcontinent, this discipline is marginalized, or it couldn't nourish to an extent when we compare it with the Western epistemology within the broader social
Absolutely,
sciences.
yes.
So within this context or pas manzar, what we have observed for decades and decades that we lack social theories, our own indigenous social theories. जो social theories आपको दरकार होती हैं to understand your own problems, चाहे वो आपके मसाइल समाजी नौयत के हों, माशरती नौयत के हों, मजहबी नौयत के हों, या किसी किस्म के भी जो मसाइल हैं आपके सोसाइटी के अंदर, वो समझने के लिए जो आपको social theories required होती हैं, वो they are missing at the moment. Or they haven't been well manifested ताकि हम अपने मसाइल को जो कि indigenous problems हैं उनको indigenous solution उनको provide कर सकें to understand. So इस कमी की वजह से ये जो lack of social theories हैं within the broader social sciences disciplines, so बहुत लंबा अरसा गुजर चुका है इस बात को. It's been a number of decades कि हमारे यहाँ probably you may agree or disagree कि बहुत सारे disciplines हैं जो कि पनप नहीं सके यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में या इस खिते में. You name them, वो anthropology हों, वो sociology हों, वो peace and conflict studies हों, वो security strategic studies हों, या even to an extent economics, इस किस्म के subjects हैं. So वो उस तरीके से डेवलप नहीं हो सके और उसकी वजह से हमें वो टूल किट या वो जहनी काबिलियत मुयसर नहीं आ सकी जिसकी वजह से हम अपने मसाइल का इदराक कर सकें, फर्स्ट आइडेंटिफाई कर सकें, उनको समझ सकें और फिर वो हमारे जो फ़िक्री हलके हैं या जो लोग इन चीज़ों पे काम करते हैं वो उनके ऊपर डीपली उनको एनालाइज कर सकें ताकि एक वायबल सॉल्यूशंस प्रपोज कर सकें उन प्रॉब्लम्स को आफ्टर डिसेक्शन.
I guess I understand what you're trying to say. There's a gap between what's being taught and what exists, है ना?
Yes.
That's the case.
Yes. और اور اسی وجہ سے بہت سارے ایسے موضوعات ہیں جو ہماری سوسائٹی کے اندر ہیں, بہت سارے مسائل ہیں جو آپ بھی دیکھتے ہوں گے مختلف لیولز کے اوپر ہیں, ناٹ جسٹ the domain of core conflict domains such as terrorism or violent extremism or radicalization. اس کے علاوہ اور جو social problems ہیں یا social unrest ہیں societies میں, grievances ہیں, یا جو disconnect between state and the society ہے, یا marginalization ہے, یا public policy کی implementations ہیں. سو بہت سارے ایسے موضوعات ہیں جو ہمارے جو فکری حلقے ہیں ان کا موضوع بھی نہیں رہے, اور یہ اس بات کو کسی حد تک سپلیمنٹ کرتا ہے کہ ہمارے پاس وہ سوشل تھیوریز موجود ہی نہیں ہیں جس کی نظر سے ہم ان مسائل کو سمجھ سکیں اور ان کو پڑھ سکیں. اور اس میں ایک جو ون آف دا ریزن دیٹ از یوزلی سائٹڈ از کہ جو ہمارے بستے میں کتابیں ہیں یا جو جن کتابوں کو ہم کنسلٹ کرتے ہیں وہ ویسٹرنائزڈ ہیں, جبکہ پرابلمز جو ہیں وہ ہمارے اپنے خاص کنڈیشننگ یا خاص کنڈیشنز کے اندر ان کی وجوہات سے.
پرابلم ہمارے گھر کا ہے اور ہم جو ہے وہ باہر لوگوں سے پوچھ رہے ہیں کہ آگے سالو کر لو. That's the whole point, right?
کیونکہ جو بھی مسائل پیدا ہوتے ہیں وہ آپ کی سوسائٹی کے جو بیسک فیبرکس ہیں, بی اٹ سوشو اکنامک پولیٹیکل, آپ کی ہسٹوریکل ڈائنامکس ہیں, آپ کی وٹ ایور, سو وہ جب پرابلمز آپ کے گراؤنڈڈ ہیں, سو اس کا جو سلوشن یا اس کی تھیورائزیشن بھی آپ کی انڈیجنس ہونی چاہیے. سو جب آپ کے پاس امپورٹڈ یا امپلانٹڈ تھیوریٹیکل فریم ورکس ہوں یا نظریات ہوں کسی چیز کو پڑھنے کے لیے, جس طرح کوئی پیس بلڈنگ کی ڈومین کے اندر لبرل پیس ماڈلز وغیرہ ہوں, سو وہ کبھی بھی آپ کو نہ پرابلمس کو سمجھنے میں مدد دے سکتے ہیں کلی طور کے اوپر, نہ ان کی پرابلمس کی جو روٹ کازز ہیں ان کو آئیڈینٹیفائی کرنے میں مدد دے سکتے ہیں, اور نہ اس کا کوئی وائبل سلوشن جو کہ سسٹینیبل, چاہے وہ سسٹینیبل پیس ڈومین میں ہو یا سسٹینیبل کوئی بھی آؤٹ کم اس پرابلم کو لانگ ٹرم میں ریزالو ہوتے ہوئے دیکھنا چاہتے ہیں, تو وہ اٹس ناٹ پاسبل. سو دس ہیز بین dilemma, I believe, within the broader social sciences.
Why? What's holding us back? I mean, there are like 200 plus universities in Pakistan and
بہت سارے اس کے ریزنس ہو سکتے ہیں. ایک تو جو ہمارے ہاں جو اتھارٹیز ہیں ان کا فوکس سوشل سائنسز کی ڈومین میں نہیں ہے, جبکہ آپ ویسٹ میں دیکھیں سو ون آف دا میجر فوکس از آن سوشل سائنسز, رائٹ. اور اس میں جو پہلے میں نے آپ کو بتایا کہ یہ ہم آہنگی کتنی ضروری ہے کہ جو تھیورائزیشن ہے یا جو اس کی پرابلم کی ڈائگنوسٹک ہے اور پھر اس پرابلم کا سلوشن جو ان سے ہے, دونوں میں ہم آہنگی کتنی ضروری ہے. اگر آپ ویسٹ کی بہت ساری یونیورسٹیز کو دیکھیں, سو جو بھی پرابلم کی آئیڈینٹیفیکیشن یا پرابلم کو پڑھنے کا یا اس کو آئیڈینٹیفائی کرنے کا جو پروسیس سٹارٹ ہوتا ہے وہ یونیورسٹی سے ہوتا ہے, اور جو کنسیپچل فریم ورکس یا تھیوریٹیکل فریم ورکس یا جو بھی زاویے بنائے جاتے ہیں اس پرابلم کو سمجھنے کے لیے یا اس کو ایڈریس کرنے کے لیے, اور جب آپ اس کو پریکٹیکل مینیفیسٹیشن میں دیکھتے ہیں, جب اس کی امپلیمنٹیشن ہوتی ہے یا ایگزیکیوشن ہوتی ہے, تو آپ اس میں ایک بڑی پرفیکٹ ایک سینرجیٹک ایک اس میں کوہیژن دیکھتے ہیں, ایک اس میں دے آر ویری ویل جیلڈ ان, بیکاز ان کی کنٹیکچوئل ایشوز ہیں اور جو ان کی ایپسٹیم ہے وہ دونوں آپس میں ایک آرگینک انداز میں ان کا ملاپ ہوتا ہے. سو اسی وجہ سے یونیورسٹیز وہاں پہ وہ منبع ہوتی ہیں یا وہ یونیورسٹیز آر دا مین locales where these issues are discussed, these issues ان کی solution, ان کے مختلف reasons, ان کے root causes, چاہے وہ جو بھی societal issues ہیں, not vis-a-vis peace and conflict کی ڈومین کے اندر, societal جو بھی broader issues ہوتے ہیں جو public policy ڈومین میں بھی آتے ہیں, سو وہ ان میں ایک ربط ہوتا ہے, ایک ان میں ایک resonance ہوتی ہے. جبکہ ہمارے ہاں ایک تو جو امپورٹڈ جو ہم نے ویسٹرن لٹریچر کے اوپر تکیہ کیا ہوا ہے
کریکولم,
اور وہی ہم اس کو پڑھاتے ہیں وہی, لیکن اس کی جو پریکٹیکل ورلڈ کے اندر یا جو ہمارے مسائل ہیں سوسائٹی کے اندر وہ اس کے ساتھ ریزونیٹ نہیں کرتے. सो और ये एक बहुत लंबी एक इसकी हिस्ट्री है कि वाई दैट एक्चुअली हैपन. सो उसमें मेरा तो ये भी आर्गूमेंट है कि शायद हम जब सब कॉन्टिनेंट में रहते हुए कॉलोनियल एरा के अंदर खाली हम ग़ुलामी हमारी वो फिज़िकल या उस डोमेन में नहीं थी या सोशो कल्चरल डोमेन में, बट ऑल्सो हम इल्मी सतह पे भी इसी तरह ग़ुलामी का शिकार हो गए और शायद वो आशिकाना हद तक हो गए कि नाउ इट हैज़ बिकम वेरी हार्ड टू डिवोर्स दीज आइडियाज़ जो कि बिल्कुल एम्बेडेड हो गए हमारे करिकुलम में भी, हमारे शऊर का हिस्सा बन चुके हैं. सो लेकिन इसमें बहुत सारे लोगों की ऐसी काविशें भी हैं जो कि जिन्होंने इस एपिस्टेमिक कोलोनाइजेशन को तोड़ने की कोशिश की है या एपिस्टेमिक डिपेंडेंसी को इससे बाहर निकलने की कोशिश की है, लेकिन वो काम कोई
I know, I'm sorry to interject, but as long as the effect doesn't, the inculcation itself within the universities, लोग काम कर रहे हैं reforms वगैरह के ऊपर, but academic reforms are way more important than anything else.
Yes.
You shift the whole curriculum.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be a tables turn type thing, right? So, Center for International Peace and Stability, just for the audience, by the way, people out there in Pakistan think that NUST is primarily an engineering university and all that. Although we started a med school here as well. No, I don't know how many people know this, but the thing is that, we have to, somehow tell people that the Center for International Peace and Stability, it's August 2013, Ban Ki-moon flies in, and he inaugurates the whole thing. And this is big. 2 UN Secretary Generals have arrived here. And Antonio
Guterres,
वो भी आए थे यहाँ पे. So, rewind 2016, you joined here, right? So, what have you seen so far? I mean, how do you think people have, understood that NUST also offers one of these disciplines as well?
CIPS is a very unique institute. It is built on the hybrid model, and the journey so far, it's been 10 years plus. We have a very short history at the moment, but the growth has been phenomenal, what we have observed, and we have contributed significantly within the discourse of peace and conflict studies, strategic studies, and other related domains of peace operations. So one of the main objectives here at this Center of International Peace and Stability is to develop this synergetic relationship between the academia, research, and the practice. Practice, that is to say, peacekeeping operations and various deployments, the people who are actively involved in the operational domains, be it uniform officers or the civilians also. So, and the objective remains that how we can inform or how we can translate their experiences into the knowledge that is applicable to our own context also. At CIPS, one of our sister Department of Peacekeeping Training, it's the National Peacekeeping Training Institute. Indeed, it offers peacekeeping training, pre-deployment training to our own Pakistani officers and civilians, but also we've trained over officers from over 50 countries. So we have quite a bit of footprints at the global scale. But as far as this domain of our academic engagement is concerned, so the objective is how we can create a meaningful and an organic relationship between the policy, practice, and knowledge and academic/research. So apparently, one may argue that they are two distinct worlds or distant worlds, but it's very important that they needs to be brought together because ultimately they share the same goal, that is to say, to ensure the sustainable peace in the world. And also, we have a lot of issues in our own backyard in different forms. We've been fighting issues related to terrorism, violent extremism.
Absolutely. आपने शुरू में बात की थी ना कि regional conflicts को समझने के लिए you need to understand psychology, history, maybe everything, all the branches of.
I mean, different disciplines have different positioning in terms of understanding the nature of conflicts, be it वो intrastate हैं या interstate conflicts हैं. So, nevertheless, it's very important that all the disciplines needs to be cross-fertilized, ताकि and that's how it should be, and it is well established, so that you can have a very vivid analysis, very vivid understanding and comprehensive understanding of any issue, not just from one singular perspective. किसी भी डिसिप्लिन का वो फिर आपका इल्म जोन सा है वो अधूरा रह जाता है, उसमें वो comprehensiveness नहीं होती. और एक तो clearly we have seen, and I'm very positive and very hopeful, very optimistic, and to me it's written on the wall that social sciences already NUST is doing very well. Other universities are also contributing significantly, but I can see in the next couple of years you will start observing clear outcomes that will be loud enough to declare that we have seriously excelled within the domain of social sciences. Within the same context, probably you'll be aware that very promising initiative has been taken to establish the NUST School of Public Policy and Leadership. I think that will be taking off in a month or 2 months.
Yeah, and the next big thing.
Yeah, and the entire idea of establishing that school is, number one, to accept the interdisciplinarity, cross-fertilization between different disciplines. One. Number two, to contextualize the problems, to contextualize the applications of different theoretical frameworks, and then through research, systematic process of conducting research, evidence-based practices, how we can bridge the gap between the academia, research, and the policy, so that both share the same objectives. The scope of the Jinnah School of Public Policy is very widened, very multifaceted.
It's going to be, I'm sorry, is it going to be a part of the CIPS itself?
No, it's a very separate entity. It will be a dedicated school, but it resonates or echo the same idea that you need to have contextually grounded understanding of your issues, number one. So you can't rely on your borrowed theoretical frameworks or conceptual modelings. उसमें कोई कबाहत भी नहीं है, और जिस जदीद दुनिया में हम रहते हैं उसमें वेस्टर्न एपिस्टीम का या जो उनकी जो भी काविशें रही हैं उसका बहुत सारे मुस्बित असरात भी रहे हैं. Nevertheless, this is not a good idea कि हम social sciences के अंदर you borrow those concepts और उस पर कोई तनकीदी निगाह डाले बगैर आप उसको अपने मसाइल के ऊपर उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना शुरू कर दें.
International relations and peace and conflict is not a very it's a relatively young subject, right?
No, it's
can you throw some light on this? When was it actually institutionalized?
The international relations subject, sort of a mother subject, 19th century से वो एक solid subject के तौर पे it started to float around. लेकिन उस time पे जो conflicts थे या जो dynamics थी global world order की, they were different. So उस time के जो conceptualization, जो theorization थी, so international relation was well equipped to deal with those. But later during Cold War and post-Cold War, so what happened was the nature of the conflict started to change. So for instance, we observed कि intrastate conflicts की जो तादाद थी वो बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई थी, और उसमें scholars realized very well that जो toolkit international relations या related disciplines उस time पे मौजूद हैं, they are not able to comprehend the complexities of these interstate conflicts because there are so many dynamics involved in it. For instance, there are political economy of conflict and post-conflict dynamics. उसके अंदर greed and grievances dynamics हैं, उसमें ethnicities, identities related issues हैं, natural resources के problems हैं. There are so many other issues which were involved. So उस वजह से ये था कि probably international relation की जो theoretical toolkit है, it's not enough or it's not capable to understand and comprehend or analyze these issues. So that's why that was the time when other sub-disciplines which actually mushroomed from the broader international relations domain, वो फिर निकले जिसमें peace and conflict studies भी थी, security studies भी थी. So that's how. Or peace and conflict studies primarily, that is why I'm repeatedly mentioning कि it necessarily requires the multidisciplinarity approach. You can't rely on international relations theory. You have to borrow theories, or you have to consult or receive input or contribution from media and communication to understand the narratives and the counter narratives. You have to have input from the economics discipline to understand, for instance, the political economy of conflict. You have to understand the development aspects. For that, you need to have insights from the development-related disciplines, which we already have here at NUST. All these disciplines, they're existing,
Yes.
so that they can help us to understand the complexities of all these issues.
What does United Nations has to do with all this? Like there's specific courses being offered here, probably certified by the United Nations, right?
Yeah, within the broader framework of United Nations, there is a Department of Peace Operations, right? So in different conflict-ridden areas, there are different troop contributing countries, TCCs, which send their military officers, civilians also, to contribute, to play their active role in ensuring peace and stability in those conflict-ridden areas. So as member states. So Pakistan, that's another very interesting thing, that Pakistan has always remained as one of the top troop contributing country, and numbers of our soldiers have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty and
absolutely
the flag of UN. So this is a legacy for our future generation. But on the other side, we also realize this, and we've been working on this for quite some time, that how this, so far I think, I don't have the exact figure, but it's more than 240,000 peacekeepers have been deployed by Pakistan since 1960 across various missions. So how we can translate that experience into knowledge, so that we can contribute to the policy, we can contribute to the knowledge, we can contribute to the existing discourse. So CIPS as a center of excellence also, while working in the domain of peace operations training, so which our courses are UN certified courses, which are also offered to different allied officers. So we also ensure that somehow we need to have a mechanism to transform their experiences into the knowledge.
Yeah, speaking of transformation, we spoke about the big divide between the academia and the policy corridors. So somebody needs to go there and tell the folks back at the policy making corridors that we need major reformation around here. In this specific study, how far we are behind on this?
We are aggressively working on it. In fact, for this upcoming Gen 2026 UN review, CIPS is playing a very active role along with many other think tanks, including Stimson, IPI, Norwegian Institute of International Affairs, Geneva Security Center. So we are part of that network of experts, where and in fact they do realize the nature of knowledge that we contain. So we do realize this, and we are working very aggressively and very strategically in this domain, that as a center, we need to work very closely with the policy side. We need to be close to the policy corridors. So our research outputs needs to be formulated in a manner, their thematic foci need to be identified in a manner, that is to say, our subjects, which areas we want to focus on. Currently, we are having the IAPTC, International Association of Peacekeeping Training Centers presidency. So that presidency is currently being held by CIPS.
What exactly is that?
This is an association, UN-recognized International Association of Peacekeeping Trainings around the world. More than 40-50 peacekeeping training institutes. So they work together. So we Last year we hosted 28th IAPTC conference here. So now we have the presidency of IAPTC. So that tells that the leading role that CIPS is playing, NUST, CIPS is playing within this domain. We had UN prep meets that were recently held earlier. I think 2 years ago it was held in collaboration with Japan, and
that's
this
a way
year
forward.
it was held in collaboration with Korea. So we are very clear in terms of our strategic positioning that we need to work close with the policy corridors, both when it comes to the UN peacekeeping operations and training, based on our intense knowledge that we contain, which have been built up over the last couple of decades. And also, on the other side, our academic and research ventures, the Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, where we offer degree programs and conduct various research projects also, that they also produce that sort of knowledge that is contextually grounded, and somehow it can translate into some policy implications.
Coming back to the Center for International Peace and Stability, so there were like two things branch out of the CIPS. One is the peacekeeping trainings, and the other is we have a master's programs, Peace and Conflict Studies, the Strategic Studies, and the International Relations recently launched. So is there like a practical connectivity between the two, or they're two entirely separate branches?
No, yes, there is a very good question, and there is a third entity that's called Research and Analysis Cell. The objective of that cell or that entity is to bridge the gap, so we can bridge the policy and the academic or the research together. So they're absolutely not working on different sides of the fences. We have orchestrated an environment where we have cross-fertilization of our faculty members from both the sides. We expose our peacekeepers who get training here at CIPS, at the Department of Peacekeeping Training, that we expose them to different intellectual discourses, roundtable conferences, discussions. They attend quite a bit of our lectures, which are usually running for our MS and PhD degree programs. And a lot of our students, which are usually going through the degree programs, core academic domain, they attend various peacekeeping training courses, so that they also get an idea about the practical world. So we create an environment here at CIPS where, in a physical form, where both these two sides, they interact with each other. And also, on the other side, our academic and research ventures at the Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, where we offer degree programs and conduct various research projects also, that they also produce that sort of knowledge that is contextually grounded, and somehow it can translate into some policy implications. They can inform the policy.
More relevant.
More relevant. So to develop the same correspondence or synergy between the academic research and policy corridor.
I hope so. We can reach there where we want to.
Again, it's a slow process. It's not that easy, but that's the way. That's the future.
The very best of luck.
And we're committed to doing it.
I'm going to ask you something which is of great interest to the generation in the present. The world has moved beyond traditional military conflicts. All the misinformation, cyber attacks, social engineering, all through the social media. How do you see the interconnectedness of the world affecting? Do you think it's going to be like does it somehow aggravate conflicts, or do you believe it's more like facilitating peace?
I think if you're referring to the concept of non-traditional security, usually
yes,
the way we used to define the security, the term security was confined in a highly militarized term. But it's been a while that the term or the construct security has widened significantly. So, which is actually underlined by the idea of human security. So security is not just the traditional security that we used to use the term in terms of kinetic measures, right? So
it's all
now there are
non-kinetic
so many issues such as you mentioned, about the issues of climate change, issue of other population, food security, environmental related issues, and so many, the list goes on, political security, etc., etc. So economic security. Even for the first time in Pakistan, the national security policy that was released, it was the very first time they used the term human security. So it is commendable that they recognize that economic security, climate change is very important. A little bit of explanation here that usually when we think, okay, what climate change has to do with security?
Exactly, मेरा यही सवाल था कि how do you see it as a conflict multiplier? मतलब
Yeah, so there is a concept that's called climate change as a threat multiplier. So we conducted a research project in the context of Balochistan where we came to the conclusion, based on very strong evidences, that on one side Balochistan, which is haunted by a lot of problems, including marginalization, grievances, local communities, social unrest, governance-related issues, blah, blah, blah. Primarily, the main root cause, I believe, is the governance-related issues. But what we observed was that during the recent droughts, and while considering the Balochistan is highly vulnerable to the climate change, so we came across a lot of data that very clearly revealed the fact that because of climate change impacts, they have intensified the traditional security threats there, because they have widened the inequalities, they have further worsened the governance framework or the availability of resources, or affected the local livelihood, etc. So the grievance got multiplied. Yes. And there is a very comprehensive database that you can access at the University of Uppsala's website. So you will be very surprised to find that most of the conflict-ridden areas in Africa or other parts of the world, where the conflicts are not because of climate change, but there are
natural resources,
or natural resources, or other sorts of factors are behind. But the same contexts are also affected by the climate change. So, so another aspect, or another, one of the objective here at CIPS, we always focus on or pay attention, is to how to develop these nexus or connections between different constructs or phenomena. So that's why that reinforced the argument that this field requires multidisciplinarity. You need to have, for instance, we need to understand the phenomenon of climate change and its impact. You need some people who have those expertise, right? So then you create an ecosystem where all these brains comes together, but eventually to understand the dynamics of security. So human security has indeed changed first the way we used to think about the notion of security earlier. फिर उसके बाद उससे बहुत सारी different theoretical implication हुई. It challenged earlier conceived frameworks. And I think it's looking at these issues from societal issues from human security paradigm.
No, I think I strongly feel that it's like even further contaminating the passive conflicts, जो नजर नहीं आ रहे, but you're contaminating the whole lot of people. People have everything in their hands now, in the palm of their hands. The whole information, you send in some information and things happen. So even us, we are quite used to it. किस तरह की information dish out होती है, तो उसके बाद क्या-क्या repercussions हम सबको जो है वो झेलने पड़ते हैं.
इसमें non-traditional में, for instance, वो MDMH एक लफ्ज़ यूज़ किया जाता है, misinformation, disinformation. So all these things are also part of it. So उसमें problems भी हैं, but ये है कि जो human security paradigm से कोई चीज़ समझना, so there is a consensus amongst the scholars कि in order to ensure positive peace or sustainable peace, so peace is not the cessation of violence. So you need to look at different other issues, governance related issues, poverty, economics, climate change, or other related dynamics. So it's a comprehensive framework that promises a pathway towards a sustainable peace.
Dr. Makki, from a socio-political lens, how do you see that we are sorting out our internal conflicts within our own country?
We need to, we've started, I think we are now mature enough that we have understood quite a bit the structural determinants of these issues, even if we can't phrase them as conflict per se. For instance, in the newly merged districts, right? So we have this realization that the role of governance and institutional building have to play a very important role. Indeed, there are certain actors that needs to be dealt with, probably kinetic measures where the Pakistan military has played a very important role. So every context has a different story, right, as I mentioned earlier. So even in different, within the context of Balochistan, so the landscape is very heterogeneous. So what sort of social unrest that exists there, they need to be understood in a very localized manner. So I think we have a consensus over this understanding that the issue, these issues needs to be resolved, number one, and the solution lies indigenously, right? So we need to have our own toolkit to address these issues. And if you look at the statistics, if you look at some of the other indicators, alhamdulillah, a lot of issues which we were facing during the last, particularly a decade ago, things have improved significantly. Indeed, the situation is not very romantic at the moment, but I think we are on the right path, and I'm very sure that we'll be able to resolve these issues, but they will take time. Because these issues spans over decades and decades. The grievances and the problems have now become so solidified that you can't turn the things just in a spur of moment. So it will take time. So as researchers, as academics, our responsibility is, and which we are very systematically, we are trying to fulfill those roles, that how we can understand these issues from different lens. Therefore, we conduct research in these areas which are very important to us, and they are the ones which will ensure our sustainable peace, at least within Pakistan. So I think things have improved significantly, but it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go.
A long way to go. A lot of milestones have been achieved, but still a long way to go. But the realization is there, a certain sort of consensus is there, that what are actually the root causes of the problem. So every problem is not just synonymous to the security or conflict construct. So there are a lot of issues that are probably triggered by, or they are manifested through, lack of governance or negligence from the state authorities, etc.
Lack of understanding.
Or lack of understanding. When you don't understand the issue per se, so how you would be able to rectify or address these issues. So again, it will take time. But I'm very positive.
Thank you, Dr. Makki. Thank you for your insights. I think we do understand that this wars and atrocities are the bread and butter of all the think tanks around. But at the end of the day, we need solutions, right? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.